Hello, and my name is Ed Miller, and I'm one of the hosts with the Candidate Forum 2021 here in Brockton. I am pleased to have with us Jamal Brathwaite, who is running for Councilor-At-Large in the city of Brockton. Jamal, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for asking, Ed. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to run for the first time for Councilor-At-Large.
Yeah. So my name is Jamal Brathwaite. I'm a resident here in Brockton. I love the city of Brockton. And a bit about me is I'm married. I've been married for over 18 years. I've been with my wife for about 21 years. I've never lived in Brockton prior to living in Brockton, but I've always heard about Brockton. It's famous. The city of Brockton is famous. And so, but a little bit more about me is, I got a career for the past 17 and a half to 18 years. I've worked in financial services and as an accountant, compliance officer, and an internal auditor. And why I'm interested in representing the city of Brockton is that I want to modernize the city of Brockton. I've lived in many different jurisdictions here in the United States, as well as in the United Kingdom. And from observing many different cities, I can see that Brockton, it deserves much more than what it's getting. For as much as the city of Brockton residents are paying in taxes, they deserve more. And I think it's a function of management. So I want to bring my management skills to the city of Brockton to improve the quality of life in Brockton.
And what do you believe is the most important issue that's facing the city council today?
The number one important issue facing the city of Brockton is public safety, hands down. Today is Friday, October 8th. We've already had an incident at Brockton High School where the school had to get released early because a kid was found with a gun in the school. It's not clear why he had a gun in the school. And last night, of course, we had it. I say of course because we were all made aware, there was a shooting. Unfortunately, an officer was shot in the line of duty. Fortunately, I understand he will be okay and it's not life-threatening, so praise the Lord for that. Unfortunately, there was a victim that night who did die. We don't know the entire circumstance around this, but right now, Brockton has made national news for all the wrong reasons. So I want to run for city council, so when Brockton does make national attention, it's for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. So the number one issue I'm going to address is public safety, not just in the streets, but public safety in our schools. Most city councilors will say, they're going to leave that up to the school committee, but not me. We're going to go to the schools. We're going to make sure public safety is number one in our schools so our kids can concentrate and be the best students that America can produce.
And what are some of the recommendations you have for public safety?
Sure. Okay. Well, the very first, before we got on the call, I called my nephew, who also goes to Brockton High School, and asked him, how you doing? What's going on today? And I was surprised when he told me about his assessment of security in Brockton High School. So in the year 2021, it's not clear why Brockton High School does not have metal detectors. When I was in high school, I graduated back in 1997, we had metal detectors. Here we are, more than 21, 22, 23 years later, and it's not clear why. So number one, we need metal detectors. That seems like a quick fix. We need to get that, and we need to identify what other schools in Brockton we need to install metal detectors. More than that, we also need to identify our hall monitors. We need to make sure we have more. The kids were telling me we need more hall monitors. Surprisingly, my nephew, and he was with a group of his friends, they were all telling me, I asked them, do you feel safe in school? And they said no. And I was very surprised because these kids, they're tough. But they said in Brockton High School, it's so large and there's so many different groups that walk around like they control the school that they told me they don't feel safe at school. And so when he told me that disturbs me. And it tells me we need more hall monitors. We need those. We may need truman officers, and we need social workers. And so it's important. And overall, I think really how we get to a better place when it comes to public safety is the overarching idea I'm promoting in the city council is to work with the city council to create or establish what we call a civilian review board. And one of the jurisdictions of the Civilian Review Board would be the remit over public schools. If you can imagine, with the school committee, a lot of parents have been given feedback for the past month about how their kids are in danger. Parents have been crying at these school committees about how their kids can't even go use the bathroom. They got to hold it till they get home because they don't even feel safe going to the bathroom. So if that's going on, we need a civilian review board that can provide the information needed so that we can direct resources that are fit for a purpose. I don't want to just throw police in there to turn Brockton High School into a prison. I'm not promoting that. What I'm promoting is the need for a civilian review board to be able to assess our public service safety needs by getting from people on the front line, the citizens, the residents, the students. And then secondly, to also provide accountability and transparency regarding the funding. Underneath the Civilian Review Board program in Brockton, we're going to make sure that Brockton police, as well as all other agencies that would be underneath the Civilian Review Board, are well funded and resourced. So we're going to be funding them with even more money.
Okay. As someone running for Councilor-At-Large, you're going to be able to vote on a lot of issues that affect Brockton. How would you vote if you feel the vote you cast would help the city of Brockton, but many of your constituents don't agree and don't support that issue?
Well, okay, good question. I would recommend that we have a public forum on those type of topics. So, for example, Civilian Review Board. You know what's surprising? Here we are over a year and a quarter since, or maybe even a year and a half since the protests from last year and George Floyd and the national attention. But Brockton still hasn't implemented Civilian Review Board. This is an example of something that might be a decisive issue where some people are for it, some people are against it. But I feel like the mayor should have facilitated a town hall to talk about what are the pros and cons so we can find out where we are as a society, the direction we want to go. So it's the way we would iron this out, Ed, is we need to have a public forum. I don't think we should be we should be making decisions on things that are material and significant in absence of a public forum.
Okay. Now, this is something that's not under the purview of the council, but it will be something you'd have to deal with. 3 years ago, we entered into a trash agreement that resulted in much smaller trash cans, where even a family of 2 people can't get their trash in for the week. They're also forced to buy 4 bags for $5, which is an increase on that. And you can go into the store and buy a bag of 28 for $7, where it would cost you $35 to get the same amount of bags. What are some of the issues that you will see that would help the city and help the residents paying these higher costs than any other area surrounding Brockton?
Yeah, so we need to renegotiate that agreement regarding trash collection. It appears that the city of Brockton residents are overpaying and they're underserviced right now. Those little trash bins they're small. I think we need to renegotiate the agreement. That's about it. I mean, I don't want to ask the residents to have to purchase an additional trash bin or additional trash bags. So what we got to do is we got to renegotiate the agreement. That's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the big issues that we've been having here in Brockton, and probably been having it for the last 50 years, is the small business owners who go into the city hall and try to get their permits, and it's like running a gauntlet, they say. One of them told me that if it takes days in another community, it takes me weeks here. If it takes weeks somewhere else, it takes me months here. What are some of the ideas that you have to help the people who are coming in, especially small business owners who don't have the lawyers and all that, to go in and make it a quicker process from start to finish?
Yeah. So I mentioned this before. I'm going to mention it again. I'm proposing that we implement in a bondsman department that would sit within the executive branch of government and which would report to the city council on a quarterly basis. The purpose is to create what's called a complaints procedure department. That would be the bondsman department, so that whenever those applicants you're referencing become disillusioned or they're not clear what's going on, they can go to them to get clarity on the status of the application, or if they have a bad experience, they can advise that, or they can file a complaint and they can go through that complaints procedure department to receive a response and hopefully get back on track. I acknowledge the issue you're saying. Right now, the city of Brockton is subject to many lawsuits. And the issue here, the common issue, is because of the service City Hall provides right now. A lot of times when applicants have questions, they have to go to the legal department, the city solicitor. And then the city solicitor, you know, if you've never spoken to her, she can be very ambiguous. She's not very responsive, and she's probably one of the underlying root causes for the problems that you're identifying, Ed. Now, no one else in the city is talking about it. I'm talking about it. You know why I'm talking about it? Because we cannot progress as a society together if we can't be honest on our problems. And one of the issues with City Hall is that when you try to give them feedback, you try to give them recommendations, they seem to get offended by that. That's the wrong attitude. When you got people coming to work with the wrong attitude, well, you know, it doesn't help anybody. So we need to correct that attitude. We need to implement a complaints procedure. We need to be able to have a mechanism in place for taking feedback from the public.
Okay, and currently, the city council is elected every 2 years, so is the mayor. Do you feel there is a need to turn that into a 4-year term instead of a 2-year for both the council and the mayor? And would you also support that it's time, maybe because we are a city of 105,000 people in a large mid-sized city, that these part-time positions should be now full-time?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer the latter question first. Yes, Brockton city councilors should be a full-time position where they have staff. And the reason why is whenever you're trying to achieve anything in society, you need to be sufficiently resourced. So what that means is that you have sufficient human capital, so labor, to get the work done. You need sufficient compensation. Right now, they're not even getting a part-time salary. They're getting this, it's a stipend. All right, you know who gets a stipend? A volunteer. All right, and when you're trying to deliver a quality service, a quality product, you gotta put the basics in. You gotta pay them you need to pay them a market rate so that they can live their life. You need to make this program sustainable. So I think that city councils in Brockton should be a full-time role. A lot of, since moving to Brockton, and I work here just generally in Massachusetts. I've worked for many different employers, and a lot of people that I've met throughout the state of Mass, they'll ask me, what's wrong with Brockton? I hear that. And, for me, my first thought, from living here and experiencing City Hall was that, well, City Hall is the problem. They're not responsive to resident issues. You see our roads look like the Flintstones. You see our water system in Ward 7 has been identified as breaching EPA violations where it could be a risk to human health. When you see issues like that, you want to get to the root cause of it. And when I go to City Hall and they're not responsive, they don't seem to have they have a lack of urgency, and they don't really know what quality customer service looks like. So a lot of times I look at City Hall, but also, residents have a responsibility as well. I was looking at the voter participation rate in Massachusetts. In 2020, we had the highest voter participation rate in the state of Massachusetts since 1992. But in the city of Brockton, we had the ninth worst voting participation rate of any other city in Massachusetts. So it's like that good old saying, you get out what you put into it. Mm-hmm. So residents, I have to put ownership on you as well to be informed. Go vote, number one. If you're not voting, that's part of the problem. And be informed and engage with City Hall no matter what. Okay.
Now, we got about 30 seconds left. Would you like to take the time, tell people why they should vote for you?
Yes, everyone. My name is Jamal Brathwaite, and I'm asking for your vote on November 2nd. to be one of your next Brockton City Councilors at large. The reason why is I want to increase public safety in the city of Brockton, and it's specifically we need to start with the schools. All right, I have not heard any city councilors talk about this. We can see this, especially with the current events going on right now. Other aspects that I want to really hit a home run with is just modernizing the overall city of Brockton.
Okay.
That means modernizing our road system, our water system. If you want to learn more about me, you can reach out to me directly.
All right, thank you. We're running out of time, but thank you for sharing your views. You were listening to Jamal Brathwaite, who is running for Councilor-At-Large here in Brockton. And remember, November 2nd is Election Day, and it is your right to vote. It is not a privilege. It is a right. And this is how we run our government. This is how we run our city, by electing the people who are going to support us. Not going out to vote isn't anybody else's fault but yours. Please vote November 2nd. Please do your duty. My name is Ed Miller. I want to thank you for listening.